Contenders. It's the heart and soul of our sport.
Where all our heroes start on their path to greatness.
What is Contenders about, you might ask?
It's about these little shining moments
where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
They get better, better, and better.
Twisted Minds, currently ahead of everybody.
Whisper showing why they're number one.
That is a huge shift of momentum.
Oh my God, Squid. What on earth? How did Saints even manage to bring that one back?
Genuinely one of the best Baras in the entire world.
It all stems from this moment right here.
No way, Quandop! I love this when the fight is dire, when they must make a play.
Nothing short of magnificent.
LH Cloudy, two-man self-destruct. I never thought I'd see that in my life.
Oh my God, this meta's great. There's so much diversity.
They're not going down without fights. A big move! The Lucio hits the ground! Another sound barrier finally lands from Kellex. The Blizzard out. It's bought 3 kills from Twisted Minds. XOR desperately contesting. Just wrestle control of the map. Nobody's feeling safe.
The best storylines that we have in Contenders are these teams that come in and they surprise as things go on.
For us, weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
But for these players,
It's more than that.
It's everything they are and everything they want to be.
The Overwatch Contenders Spring Series playoffs continue right now.
Hello to each and every one of you as we are here to continue on. We had EMEA earlier, and now we're here for the NA side of things. It's the spring series where both myself and Kenobi are going to be bringing you the action. My friend, we've got some great games today.
I mean, it's definitely going to be an absolute banger of a day with the games that we have on the schedule today, Rich. We're narrowing our top 4 down to a top 3 that will go into tomorrow to decide who is going to be the champion of our spring series. And you can check on the schedule right now what we have. Timeless versus Saints up there in that winners finals. And then in that losers semifinals, it's Trick Room versus O3 Splash. And we can take a look actually at the bracket of how these teams got here. A lot of upsets, I think, coming in to this tournament, right? Wisp going down. One of the favorites, I mean, finished at the top of the group as the 1 seed, getting knocked out by Afterlife, the 8th seed, trying to make it back through the winner's side, but Trick Room was too much for them to handle. And Saints, kind of that other team who we had as like one of the favorites, has been really stamping their foot down as they've gone through this tournament. That Trick Room series was very convincing from them. We heard from Juby, where Juby was like, yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit more difficult than it was, but Saints are looking so crisp, so clean. And I think with Wisp being out of the tournament, it feels like Saints is probably the favorites right now, but they still have to go up against a very good Timeless team on the other side.
Yeah, set up for success, to say the least, as we do have our predictions available to you. 1 for Timeless, 2 for Saints, as we can start diving in to the rosters that we do have. And we'll take a look at Timeless first, which we did actually get to see some play of them earlier last week, which was fantastic. We have to highlight Wub and Doom specifically. I mean, of course, everybody on this roster. Kuffa was great in taking space, managing it, but you and I even talked before going into the broadcast today, the significance of this dynamic between the DPS lineups.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's interesting about the current meta that we're in is that Hanzo has seen a lot of prevalence rising recently, right? Like Hanzo has gotten a lot of priority in terms of like being played a lot more, being an incredibly impactful pick, which Wub, I mean, if there's anything Wub is good at, I think that it's going to be this Hanzo pick. Wub heads rise up. Wub's Hanzo is something to marvel at, but the rest of the team that you're right, like, does a really good job of enabling Wub in these moments. I think Kuffa has been playing extremely well. The Winston has looked very clean, and it's something that I think Timeless have really hung their hat on as one of these compositions that they work so good at. But I think on the other side, when you look at Saints, obviously going to be seeing, you know, the heroes aren't going to necessarily be what we're expecting going into this, but I think that across the board, this team has been absolutely as crisp and clean as possible. I think that this team is working at such a high level as a unit that it makes those like individual players like Tree, like King, like Squid have even more impact, because it doesn't have to always just be one of them. There's always one player, I think, that has that pop-off moment, and that's not even mentioning that Mikey is waiting in the wings to play Winston if that's something that they want to be opting into against Timeless.
And it really presents the question of what is it that Timeless can do to find those very, very minimal weaknesses because of how well Saints is playing and how they're going to be able to outmatch and counteract the way that Saints have been playing from what we've seen over the course of this playoff stage, and even how they've continued to elevate over the regular season leading up to this point. And I absolutely agree that I think that this squad is really refined right now. They've been able to continuously step up each time that we do get to see them, specifically in this spring series. And that dynamic between Wub and Tree with what they've been able to do individually, skill-wise, is really going to be a focal point for us to see how much they contribute to the overall design of this series.
Yeah, I think the Hanzo matchup is going to be important, but I also think the stylistic matchup is going to be important as well, because Saints, they have False starting. That tells me that it's most likely going to be like either, I think Ramatra's kind of the thing that immediately pops to my mind, but mostly like also I think like Diva is a possibility, right? Diva's kind of fallen off on like, unless it's like a specific map like Rialto, for instance, but like mostly I think the Ramatra is going to be something that we see a lot of when False is in, especially when we go to our first map, which is going to be Antarctic Peninsula, which, kind of reigns supreme as a brawl map, right? You have a lot of these enclosed areas. Ramatra is being played a lot on these maps because of the fact that you can have those enclosed areas. I wonder, though, do we see like a Reinhardt option coming in from Kuffa? I think, Kuffa can play the Ramatra as well, but it's not something that we've seen too much of. It's mostly been that Winston. Kuffa is more of that main tank player. So we could potentially see a Reinhardt, because even though Ramatra has kind of risen in priority in terms of like the brawl tank, Reinhardt still does have a place in the meta.
And we did get to see from Saints previously on broadcast, they were on Antarctic Peninsula, so we did get to see False specifically on that Ramatra. Tree made some really, really great value propositions. King as well with his Tracer, really flanking in the back, causing harassment. The interesting part is I know I was joking around a little bit with you before the broadcast about potentially seeing a Pharah. Doomed had a stellar performance when it came to Lijiang Tower. I know we talk a lot about EU having that be such a staple in that specific region, and you'd be gifting me some subs even. If I do actually see a Pharah in this map, so little bit of a bet on the back end between us.
If there is a Pharah, I think it would be like have to be, I think Icebreaker would be like the one map where I think it could work, but I would expect more of like kind of the Mei, Hanzo look coming out from Timeless in particular. If they do bring out the Pharah, I think that that's something that could potentially catch Saints off guard, but not expecting it too much, as we are going to be going into our first map of Antarctic Peninsula. Remember to get your predictions in: 1 for Timeless, 2 for Saints here. This is the winner's final, so that means that whoever loses this does end up going down to that loser's final, so it's not, a one and done situation that we have in our next series. They still have an extra life after this one, but you definitely want to get that momentum going into a grand finals tomorrow.
And looky, where we start out on our first round, it's going to be none other than Icebreaker. Icebreaker! Here we go. We just gotta know right out the gate whether or not Kenobi owes me some love. So we can hop into it here to see if my hopes and dreams can come true. But again, I absolutely agree with you that it is going to lean heavily away from that Pharah. Wouldn't see Doom wanting to do that. And there is that Mei already hovered coming into this to look for that divide and conquer, finding that value to separate the team as we do look to get into this in the 20 seconds. But as I say that, there is a subtle pause. So it's probably going to come back to us here in a hot second, unless it's a quick turnaround. But, as we already saw, no real surprises here, Kenobi.
Yeah, the one thing that is interesting, though, is that both the teams are hovering Moira, and I think that Moira Lucio is kind of like a composition, not a composition, but like a duo that's like stood the test of time of like having that AoE heal, being a little bit more fast tempo going in, and like having that sustainability. We usually see a lot of Baptiste in maps like this, especially with the rush style of composition, but if both these teams are running in on that Moira, that is going to be an interesting shift in the meta for me, because we see a lot of that Baptiste, and it's really good, especially against like Mei, where you can, hop over the wall, potentially throw down Immortality Field if one of your tanks are zoned out, but also it is Ramatra, so like even if your walled is Ramatra, you can just Nemesis form, hold your block button, you don't take any damage, and then you can just break the wall and you're totally fine. So maybe that's kind of how these teams are going to be looking out for this. I think also you do have to be expecting a Bastion. That is something that Trick Room innovated on a map like this, and it is incredibly good in maps, especially if you just want to, get that wall, instantly kill someone with the shift form of the Bastion.
And the big part of it too is, the Baptiste and what we see from the support players specifically is so proficient. Cal, on multiple occasions, you and I have found in wild occasions, completely turning fights on their heads. So I'm also interested to see how this Moira is going to be contributed into this composition, and they are going to lead with it with the Reaper as well.
Yeah, Reaper. So a lot of front-loaded damage here, and really you're going to be looking out for just trying to find those areas where the wall can come up and then potentially burst those members down. There's a lot of sustainability in these fights, so the wall is really going to be impactful in terms of just being able to find one of those picks, because it is going to force out some cooldowns if you can find a good separation.
already. Wall comes to divide False, but actually has a little nook to hide in to mitigate some of the damage around the corner so they can re-enter with that Nemesis form. Kuffa taking quite a bit on the front line, getting below that half health, but still topped up by both Cal and Green to sustain through it, getting a lot of percentage and charge equally to Saints on the support line towards those ultimates. And if that Coalescence comes out just before the other, it can be a big boon for them to take the advantage of it. Saints already having this initial position, 12% and climbing. Secondary Nemesis form rotation between these two, looking to hold strong as another wall comes in, but it's swiftly Saints sidestepping around it. Dual Coalescence active. King goes down amongst the fray, even with the sound barrier contributed by Juby. Green's still going to hold on to this. If they can just finalize the last few of Saints or get an additional pick before having to use it, that's a big advantage leading into this next fight, and Timeless does ultimately take this.
Yeah, and these fights are so elongated. I mean, yes, Saints do get the point at the start, but Timeless do, weather the storm a little bit and are able to get Kuffa that Annihilation really early in this fight, way ahead of False. So I think that that's something that really helped Timeless out in that fight. They're going to have to retreat here, don't want to be too over-aggressive. And in this next fight, the big deal is that Juby used Sound Barrier very early in that fight, and Greed was able to keep theirs, like you mentioned, so that way now there's that sustainability to deal with False's Annihilation once they come into this.
Playing towards that front portion to maneuver in. Decent recovery and percentage. Blizzard committed. Doomed wanting to lock them down, but a nice disengage out of it with Annihilation from False, zoning them back. Saints going to contribute their Blizzard into this on top of those that are moving back. A Death Blossom as well by Tree. They commit a lot into this to swap it back.
Super heads up play by Tree, though, going into that backline and just ulting the supports, knowing that the only thing that could turn this one back around was those support ultimates, so they completely wiped that off the face of the earth, and now they're going to be able to tick up their own percentage. Yes, a very expensive fight for them, but now they have a lot of positioning to work with, and Timeless are going to probably have to use potentially one of their support ultimates to try and brute force their way in onto this point.
Maneuvering across the bridgeway, Vortex active. Kuffa leads heavily with that Nemesis form to try and bring down King before that defensive can be active. Nice recovery with Squid having the Coalescence, continuing to fuel and pump that into King so they don't have to forfeit that defensive so early. Nice wall as well, mitigating that front-loaded Death Blossom damage from Wub, so it gives them another lifeline and now buys enough time even further to get that sound barrier, to get coverage across the entirety of Saints. Annihilation at this point, you're playing desperately in the corner, just surviving with the Nemesis form to nullify the pressure that Saints are putting into this as they're entering this final fight.
Yeah, and now False is going to be so close towards their Annihilation as well, and Timeless don't really have any legs to stand on. They have to win this fight somehow in the neutral by potentially getting a pick from Doomed or from Wub, but that's going to be all they have. It's 95%.
Kuffa needs to make sure they can stand ground here. Cluster together. Blizzard is active. King goes in. Wall is active, but they rotate quickly around it. The movement speed is there. Juby gives them the boost, and they have the Annihilation and the Coalescence from Squid to top it all off. 99-42. Cal is keeping everyone alive for as long as possible, but unfortunately False gets the fist to the face of Kuffa. Doomed with a recovery opportunity with the Blizzard is going to be far too late and far too minimal, and that's going to be Saints taking this first round on Icebreaker.
And one of the things Saints did so well there was that one fight, the second to last one, where they were at an ultimate deficit and they were able to weather the storm. Like, you saw how much there was committance from Timeless's side to try and win that fight and brute force their way in, but Saints were able to hold that with just really good positioning and really good peel from Squid using that Coalescence. And then, since they were able to win that fight and, elongate it a little bit more, then they started to have a little bit of an ultimate advantage. So really heads up play from Saints, who, again, when you're working as meticulously and as synergized as they are, fights like that where you're at an ultimate deficit, you can just rotate around and just play positionally well around enough to win fights that you're at a deficit like that.
Well favored by the chat, 62% to 38, already taking the first round, as Timeless still makes a convincing combatants in that initial round. Now looking to try and do the same here with the adjustment now with Wub changing over to the Sombra with Doomed on that Reaper.
And one of the things you have to remember about the Sombra now is that EMP does cancel Blizzard, so that is something to keep an eye on. When King is going to have theirs, is EMP going to be something Wub uses to try and win, but actually he's going to hack False, so trying to help a little bit, but oh my god, you cannot go up against King like that. Takes his head off completely. That's going to be a fight win from Timeless. What a shot from King. Completely breaks that fight open.
There must be a cold weather buff coming out from King being on Antarctic Peninsula, because that was just an out-the-gate advantage here for Saints to take this, start climbing early, and really put the pressure onto Timeless.
And this is one of the scariest things about this composition, right? Where if you fall behind in terms of the ultimates, so many good ultimates from Saints in this composition, right? And Wub dying first is like the worst thing that can happen, because the great equalizer is that EMP, and Wub is going to have to be behind the 8-ball a little bit and try and figure out a way to farm it up quickly, because they're only at 30%.
Yeah, being behind when you have such a vital ultimate to try and counteract Saints is very critical to catch up. Coalescence active, nice wall, but unfortunately it's actually a little bit separated, so Timeless can actually evade the majority of it. With Squid funneling them down below makes this challenging for Timeless to re-enter, but with the Annihilation, the fact that they got that ahead of False puts so much more tension onto them, looking to just annihilate and take them down even faster. Timeless gets some advantage out the gate with 2 alongside Doomed, but with False getting the second, it was much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, really good job from False. They're just staying alive, knowing their limits on that Ramatra, using Nemesis form effectively to deal with Kuffa's Annihilation, knowing that in like 5% I'm going to have an Annihilation of my own. Timeless have used basically everything in their bank, so they're not going to have anything to deal with it, and then Saints can win that fight, and now they're at 60%. I mean, 1 or 2 more fights, and they're going to take this in a 1-0 lead. Timeless need to find a way to get Wub towards this EMP fast.
Yeah, it needs to be here, especially with King having this Blizzard available, as you mentioned, being able to completely nullify that ultimate when it is available. Now Tree leaning in, heavy shotgun shells onto the body of Kuffa, which is slightly covered for the moment from the sound barrier in the back, but Timeless, it's now dissipated. They've swapped the point. Doomed actually comes in big with 3, and Wub alongside holds onto the EMP. They only contribute that 1 ultimate, and that gives them a lifeline with a team kill.
And this is a hero that Doomed actually kind of came to fruition last year on, was this Reaper, you know, back when that was part of the meta in that Kiriko, Lucio, Winston style of composition. Doomed really started playing incredibly well and made their name on a Reaper, and there does exactly that, goes into the back line, is able to get those couple of kills, and now Timeless can start taking up their own percentage. And look at that, EMP at the ready for Wub. If they can use this singular ult, win a team fight, and just continue to cycle, they'll be in a good position.
And you can see already in that far right corner, Wub looking to rotate to get the most advantageous position, using the wall offensively that was placed by Saints to completely destroy them in the open field and be able to claim that fight easily.
Absolutely perfect from Timeless right there, using that singular ultimate. Now you can, you see that the Coalescence is ready. You also have Annihilation from Kuffa, so this is a great position. You've kind of brought it back to neutral in terms of that ultimate economy, as we'll see Wub using the wall, EMP, and then absolutely obliterates Juby. Good target selection coming in from Wub as Timeless continue their defensive end here. You can see on the flank, Doomed is looking for a potential pick here. They don't see him.
False now hacked for the moment, has to play forward up the stairway. King extremely low, forces out the block, no longer has the defensive. The Annihilation comes up in time. Kuffa has to contribute theirs as well. In the back, the Death Blossom by Tree manages to outweigh the odds and gets 3 on their own.
Saints able to bring that one back with the huge Death Blossom from Tree, and also False. I mean, really, I think like the start of that one, Doomed had a really good flank, but Squid, the presence of mind there to fade out, which is something Moyer can do now in that Coalescence, saves his life, and he's able to come back, keep themselves alive with the Coalescence, and now Timeless, it's do or die for them. They have the sound barrier really close from Greed, but they also have a Death Blossom from Doomed. Can he do it again like he did in that previous fight?
Wants to see a 3rd round in the back if they can get Tree before even committing. The Death Blossom is massive, and then Squid forces out the fade, repositions, and is in the open. The Death Blossom is also put into this, so they swap it back over. There's a Blizzard that comes out late from King, and it holds no value.
Juby also used the sound barrier as well, so now Saints have no legs to stand on. They have to win this one in the neutral. They're getting extremely low. Sound barrier from Greed should be able to hold this.
Oh, and the hack onto Tree leaves them a sitting duck on the point. Timeless now completely turning this on its head with a wonderful swift maneuver down below onto Doomed, checking Tree, where Tree felt a little comfortable, but unfortunately got shut down in the mix.
Yeah, Doomed really kind of brought that one fight, especially like taking down Tree extremely early in that fight. Tree, I think, didn't feel like he needed to Wraith in that scenario, but Doomed was right there and punished him for it. And then going after Squid, forcing out Wraith form and just being so patient with that Death Blossom, knowing that as soon as Wraith form is out and I can get back into you, you're instantly dead. And Juby just unfortunately just a little bit too late with that sound barrier to keep Squid alive. So really good presence of mind a lot of the time from Doomed throughout this entire map so far on that Reaper that we talked about was something that Doomed made a name for himself last year.
And I asked that at the start of the broadcast with you too, like what are these opportunities that Timeless is going to have to find? And it's moments like that where Tree has a little bit, I think, too much confidence, feeling that they were safe, and then now unfortunately getting punished for it as we enter into the third round. Now we do see this sub-level before this point becomes active, an adjustment and a shift in composition because the Hanzo is more favorable here.
Yeah, a little bit of swaps here. The thing you're going to have to be looking out for is those antis. Those you can already see Kuffa has been antied twice, so the positioning has not really been there for Kuffa in a lot of these fights because these antis are hitting pay dirt from Squid. A lot of the time you can see Kuffa is having to make a lot of just jumps out of the fight, and that means Saints are going to be able to keep this position.
Yeah, and Juby with the whip shot was so critical, knocking them so far away to deny any sort of pressure. And you can see the Bionade gonna couple as well from Squid, making this not easy at all for Timeless.
Yeah, I mean, Kuffa hasn't really been able to be in these fights, only at 22% towards that ultimate, trying his best to see what he can find, but the 20 is still juggling back and forth, and now Kuffa is slept!
Oh no, Tree takes full advantage of it. Rapid fire arrows into the body of the scientist as this will be Saints taking it first once again and looking to take this third round.
And I mean, that fight was literally all of Squid and Juby, right? They just continuously bullied Kuffa. Kuffa was nowhere able to be in these fights because the antis and sleeps were just always hitting, and Squid really showing his mechanical prowess on this Ana as Kuffa dives in again, but already half health.
Now, there's a Bionade onto Squid. Great pickup. Pulse Bomb comes in, but there's counter damage as well. Saints goes for a second on themselves. Kuffa goes down. They've lost both a vital, well, both supports are down. Tree comes in and throwing some logs.
And I mean, the target selection is just so good from Saints here, right? Where they're just continuously just bullying Kuffa. If Kuffa's going to be diving in alone like this and not going to have any help from the rest of the team, Squid and Juby are so potent at just dealing with these dives that the rest of Saints can just go into the backline and counter dive themselves, and it works totally fine for them. Timeless really need to figure out a way to get into this fight. They're going to have a nano boost, which is going to be good because you can throw that onto Kuffa, and Kuffa can take that positioning with the healing of the nano and damage reduction.
And the biggest part of it, too, is it also helps generate towards that Primal Rage, which is at a deficit right now. It's 40% in comparison to False, who already has the Self-Destruct, which you can see this collapse up onto it. The bubble is there. Massive spread damage from the Tesla Cannon, and the Nano Boost finally comes out. Another sleep by Squid. During that engagement, it's like deja vu with Tree coming in with another Storm Arrow amongst the sleep. You went to Slumberland, then to Blunderland.
Yeah, and I mean, now for Timeless, this is the last chance they're going to have. Wub has made a desperate swap over to the Sombra just to try and deal with that frontline tank of the Diva, but Timeless, I mean, they're only going to have the Pulse Bomb. I mean, you can see Cal is already switching over to the Kiriko just to offer a little bit more survivability for Kuffa, who has just been permanently slept and antied this entire time.
Yeah, Kuffa's not been able to get to this Primal Rage. It is going to be within this last fight that ultimate is finally accessible to them, and this is the final fight. They need to dive onto it and contest against it. King, though, has this Pulse Bomb, can look for those vital members in the back to try and counteract against this. The immediate swap onto this Kiriko just to get that vulnerability accessible and also to try and sustain. It's already been used. The Pulse comes out.
Oh,
unfortunately,
no.
It's going to be backfiring onto King. That's the one you're going to want back. It swaps over, and Timeless has another lifeline.
Bit of an Eska there from King, unfortunately. And I mean, the stick was a good idea. I think you tried to just take down the Winston, and now if you're Timeless, you should just start taking all this positioning back away. I think that the Sombra swap has actually worked really well because something that Wub is doing really effectively is that every time there's a dive in from Kuffa, False is being hacked immediately. That means False can't follow the dive and can't peel for the rest of the team, so Kuffa has a little bit more survivability, but it's still a tall mountain to climb for Timeless. Luckily, though, look at their ultimate economy. They have that EMP, again, a singular fight win with that ultimate, then you can continue to stack the rest of your ultimates and rotate them effectively to try and win these fights.
Ooh, False able to scout and remove Wub from that lower corner. Has to force the translocate as they reposition and enter from the backside. EMP laying in the wings as Kuffa dives in, gets knocked back in, has to force the Primal Rage here, could not escape that close proximity, and once again, you can't risk it when Tree's been able to just pump them with damages. They actually hold off here and hesitate before re-entry.
They're They're waiting patiently. As you can see, King is diving in, but look at Wub on the flank, trying to see what they can find. EMP!
Redive, Squid low, picked up, no nano, and Tree also affected within the radius. There is some counteraction though by False, getting doomed, eliminated the backline flanker. Wub down below, looks for the hack. False now no longer able to do too much as a Dragon Strike comes whooping in from the high ground while the Kiriko Kitsune Rush is active. But King comes in and lays waste to Timeless as they swap it back. Timeless now broken and crumbling under the pressure despite them having a worthy attempt. Wub gets domed, and that's going to be here a potential double dash to keep it in the overtime, but you ain't long for this world with Tree still on the point.
Very committed from Greed. They're just on to Kuffa and himself, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Saints should be able to get this one in the bag if they can finish off these kills, but it is taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, they're buying enough. Cuff on the high ground, continuously rotating, but now that that grapple is on cooldown, there's no ability to get back into it with the duration continuing to extend. The faster it vanishes, and that's going to be Saints managing to take this first map.
Yeah, that third sub-map was just, I mean, Squid, I think, played absolutely phenomenally. Juby, too, I think deserves a lot of credit being able to peel, but I think what this team is working so well is their ability to just, like, communicate in the mid-fight, because you saw a lot of the times, like, even in that last fight, where there was a great EMP into the back line, followed up by a really, really, like, crisp dive, I think, coming in from Kuffa. False was right there with the peel, and it took them so long to get the kills that Saints could bring back. All the cooldowns were forced out from Timeless, and Saints just only lost that singular member in Squid, so they were able to stay alive. But again, I mean, Squid, I can't imagine how frustrating it must be for Kuffa to be in that sub-map. That was just Squid. Every ante, every single sleep was on them.
That's how I feel in my quick play games against somebody that really knows what they're doing and is probably like a top 500 and they're just playing on an alternative account. And again, everyone right now on Saints playing at their peak. And to be fair, Timeless still does find advantages where they can, but it just can't supersede what Saints are doing on a bigger picture.
Yeah, and I mean, it is control, so it's kind of like, if you're at such a deficit already, right, it's like very hard at like that 99% to like string together a couple of fight wins. I mean, but there were, I think, at least 3 times during that sub map where Saints had an ultimate deficit, like a significant one as well, and they just were able to weather the storm because of the peel, because of the coordination that they have with each other, the trust, I think, in themselves as well. That is something that I think Saints is really, really adept at, is that they all have that trust in each other to be able to peel for themselves. They have that communication, and they're like, they never seem frazzled throughout this entirety of the playoffs so far. I haven't really seen them like be panicked. That's one of the things that I think is like really, really incredible about this team. Besides that, like one sub map that we saw on Icebreaker, I believe it was, or no, the other one,
Labs.
Labs. There we go. Labs. Labs. That was like the one time where they like looked a little bit shaky, where Tree kind of like is a little bit too confident in that aspect. But as we go into Hollywood, I wonder, do we see Mikey come into this? Because this is like a Winston-heavy matchup. False is playing very well, and you can pilot D.Va on a map like this, but this is usually the map where Mikey does end up coming into the roster to play that Winston, because it is Hollywood, and it is kind of the Winston map at the moment.
Yeah, and Mikey's been consistent. We saw that last time when you and I had been able to cast Saints against Trick Room, and Mikey did such a stellar job just being able to really take space, manage themselves defensively around a lot of the architecture so that they weren't getting punished, they weren't finding themselves too vulnerable in the open to where the picks were coming through. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was only like 1 or 2 deaths realistically on their initial defense when they were playing specifically. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that same adjustment. As you can see here, Mikey will be coming in, playing to that strength, and the Winston's going to thrive.
Yeah, I mean, he's also like, one of the things that Mikey does so well is his ability to live. I think is the biggest thing. Like, there's times where like he plays his life so incredibly well, juggles around bubbles and like maneuvers and dances around it so effectively that there are times where it's like, if he's under 100 health, I'm not even worried a lot of the time, right? Because he is able to get in there, use his kit to the most effective use as possible, and like play his life. He knows the ins and outs of that hero so incredibly well. So I think that it is going to be a tough matchup for Kuffa because of the fact that I think Mikey is so good, but Kuffa is no slouch in his own right. The difference is that Squid had his number completely on that last sub map of Antarctic Peninsula. That is something that has to change if they're going to be able to win this Winston matchup, because that was against a D.Va, and now you're going mano-a-mano against a Winston. You cannot get continuously antied and slept like that.
No, You can't. And it's really going to be down to how they figure out the methodology of entering onto these engagements and where they can get the most value, because realistically, like you had commented, Squid was landing so many of those sleep darts, which were vital to the success for Saints. But Juvie, again, with those whip shots, with that denial, completely denying the dive out the gate, can also allow that sleep to be held onto, utilized elsewhere, or if there's some sort of reposition as well, if they do want to bring in with that tracer play, as we've seen before, that's very consistent in this, looking for a hack, just allowing to apply pressure. So there's a number of these different factors, and through the support line, there is so much early success out the gate that you don't have to really contribute anything else unless absolutely necessary from the rest of the members of the team.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, going into the last map, like what we can look at in terms of like how it went is because like Kuffa died like I think 10 times, which is the most in the lobby next to Doom, but like that was a lot of the focus being on the tank. And I think that's something actually like when we saw Wub switch over to the Sombra on Labs, where they did actually have a really good time kind of focusing down the tank in their own right. So that's something I'd actually like to see them do on this map, is like help out a little bit in that tank matchup, because they're going to need the help, especially because Mikey is such a prolific Winston in his own right. They are going to need some help in that tank matchup, because they can't just have it be where it's like Squid just completely, takes over a game on the Ana. We've seen it a lot, like in Overwatch League. Twilight, for example, is a very good example of this. And you've got to put some pressure on Anas. You cannot just let them like stay in that back line and continuously just sleep you and anti you, because eventually you will just lose. You will just eventually not have the resources to be able to sustain through that.
And in this caliber of play, you can see it firsthand. We just, on multiple occasions, whether it's through replay or POV at the moment, it's just so unfortunate. You feel that pain when you had Kuffa dive in and all you see are those Zs and then get logged by Tree on this Hanzo where you're just a sitting duck. So it's one of those things that, yes, Timeless is really going to have to find a solution to this, and it's going to be a challenge because of how well Saints have been playing. They really haven't shown many weaknesses, and even when they do, it ties back to what you had mentioned about Tree, where it's this little overconfidence, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. It's just, subtle misjudgments where, they reel it in, they take a moment to evaluate, and then they start going back in and play to their strengths once again.
Yeah, I mean, it did only happen once. So it's like, Tree does have that confidence oozing through him. But, like, it did happen once where it's like you kind of get caught off guard with a flank like that. But we are having some technical difficulties. There is an ISP issue right now. So we will be throwing to a quick break so you don't have to, listen to us banter and waffle for a bit. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as this is over. Get back up from this break.
Are your Dragon Blades missing the mark?
Do you want to go from a bad Genji to a pro Genji?
Looking for that next big thing to rank up and improve your gameplay?
Well, look no further than our brand new Overwatch Contenders Genji skin! With our exclusive custom-made hoodie, your Genji gameplay will automatically be taken up a notch.
And you'll look more stylish as you team wipe fight after fight.
Just look at that stitching.
To acquire your sick Genji threads,
so you can destroy in ranked and dominate all your enemies.
Dude, chill.
Sorry, man, I'm just getting into it.
All you have to do is connect your Battle.net account to Twitch.
After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress,
letting you claim each magnificent offering, including the keen blade of Overwatch Contenders Genji.
Kenobi, this is madness! What kind of madness, you might say? It's mid-season madness. Absolutely, the Overwatch League mid-season madness, the clash of East and West, June 15th to 17th at 6 p.m. PT/9 p.m. ET. If you want to find out more information, make sure you go to overwatchleague.com. Every now and again, I always just love getting that laugh from you when I just pull something out of nowhere.
that tickled my Star Wars heart right there. But yeah, I can't wait for the mid-season madness. I did say that if Spark got there, I would buy a Spark jersey, so I need to go ahead and get on that one. Hope they're gonna do well, because I gotta, rep the Chinese super team, gotta rep my boys, go
I
back
know,
to my
right?
roots. But I think every team that's in that tournament is gonna be absolutely amazing, and it should be a really good one. So many good matchups that we could see. But we do have everyone back in the lobby finally.
Yes.
We do have our map as well. We were talking about it before the break. Hollywood is where we're gonna be going. Mikey's in the lineup, so that means Winston is going to be on this map
bubble,
100%.
jump, Winton. Winton zap.
Yeah, it's like Winton jump.
I still get this wrong. I can't. It's like the periodic table.
They'll do it in chat.
I know.
Then
They're
we'll
gonna
figure
copy paste it.
Yeah.
It's like the periodic table. I never know exactly what everything is there. I know it's there. I just don't know which
you can see it
order
in your
it's
mind's eye. You just can't recite it.
I can visually see. I mean, I'm a visual learner, so I can see the whole thing, but I can't remember the letters. It's just literally pictures. So we're going to hop in now, as you mentioned. Excited to see how this next one's going to turn out. And we actually did get to see both of these teams on Hollywood previously. They were, bringing a lot of the compositions that we have already mentioned into this. Most significantly, how the Hanzo has played into this, but also some variations when it does come to, including this Ashe when necessary as well, since it does still have a vital aspect to the initial defensive hold on here.
Yeah, I think Ashe is something that definitely thrives on this map because you have, these close choke points to work with, these high grounds, especially on second, that are really, really impactful and really good for Dynamite. But if you want to get in on the conversation, hashtag OWPTP2023. We want to see some of your tweets. We usually like seeing those tweets, like
Let's go.
shouting them out on broadcast. So get your voices heard right here on broadcast with us, as we can see Saints on the defensive end not opting in for the Ashe, so going more towards that double flanker look that we see a lot of the time, kind of just like in Overwatch in general right now in the esports. So I think what we're going to be seeing from Timeless, if they do end up coming out on more of this rush style of composition, you're going to have to be looking out at Wub again, because Wub is going to have that Hanzo, and it's really adept at dealing with Sombras because you have that Sonic Arrow to be able to kind of scout out where the Sombra is, or even where it isn't, right? Still knowing where the Sombra isn't is still good information to have. So that's something that if we see Wub come out on this Hanzo, it is going to be a matchup between him and Tree to see who can kind of get the better of themselves in that mind game.
Knowledge is power, indeed. As We do have them maneuvering out. Pincer maneuver here on a flanking position. You do have the jump back, though, for Mikey, so they can gather, with King still holding that corner for now. Both supports residing on that high ground for now until Timeless has an opportunity to draw back Saints, which they will kindly give that space for the moment to hold into the small room, with Kuffa challenging for the moment, but the electricity will have to dissipate for the time being as Kuffa takes a deep dive onto the high ground to collapse. A little bit of a scattered position here by Saints, but it's allowing Timeless to have to figure out how they want to enter into this. Now going on to Bolt, Sleep, Deja Vu, that moment once again, as now there's no immediate punishment, and Mikey gets harassed, so it zones them back and can't quite find the full elimination onto the tank line up front, and there is some decent applied pressure onto Mikey, slept even themselves, and this is giving a window of space here, so at least one tick is taken for Timeless.
Yeah, that was really well played from Cal, who was able to keep themselves alive through the counter dive from Mikey, but Kuffa is still in this fight. Cal is down, but now there's no DPS really besides this Tracer. Another sleep onto Kuffa. Doomed is taken down, so now the DPS just aren't here at all.
Nope, they're not. Supports, once again, stepping it up. Kuffa playing the bubble as best they can, chasing him down, goes for the jump melee to knock down Juby, but is close enough to the health pack. Unfortunately, you cannot escape the electricity that flows through your body, and that's now just over 2 ticks now for Timeless, and they will be able to capitalize on this final one due to the distance that Saints have to get back into this.
And I think one of the things that is going to be really important for Timeless in this matchup is dealing with the counter dives from Mikey. Last time we saw Mikey on broadcast on this Hollywood map just completely lived in the back line, right? They were able to he was able to get away with complete murder with these counter dives, but Cal and Greed have done a really good job so far at being able to negate the storm and let Kuffa get that space to get the dives in and of themselves, and you can already see how much of a difference it's made because Kuffa is at that primal rage.
Nano as well, getting massive damage onto the back line, but there is a counter dive as well, seeing who is going to get the elimination first. Tree has to force a defensive position, drops down below, grabs the health pack, but Doomed once again dives in swiftly onto the low health value that is Tree. Couldn't quite get the pack quick enough on the hack. A nice bio as well that comes in from Cal, which we've seen time and time before. There is still some life within Saints as long as King continues to harass in the back, but it is definitely being punished and put into check, but they're still working their wonders. Cal actually goes down. Saints is able to, as you mentioned, that mid-fight work through this.
Yeah, I mean, they're able to continuously just win themselves these fights through sheer mechanical will, and Doomed has to use the recall here. Tree is trying to poke and prod, but this fight is getting incredibly scrappy. Eventually, Timeless should be able to come back in with these closer respawns that they have.
Down below, still keeping it mobile on the cart. Oh, that's a big bayonet onto Kuffa. Unfortunately, Tree is going to get the elimination onto them, so that's going to force a retreat with still 3:30 on the clock to see what they can do. And Mikey's actually going to go ham here. They've got the nano. They're playing forward. They almost get the elimination onto both, and there's King to sweep in. Contributions come in with the assistance, but these couple of staggered picks as well into Mikey. King is not as good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the other side of the coin of the confidence from this Saints team. I mean, they're trying to stay alive. Big stick onto Squid, and that should mean that this is a fight win for Timeless. Saints have to retreat here, especially with Juby going down. They don't have the healers to be able to stand and fight in this next one, as Timeless is going to start rounding this corner here. Nano very close from Cal. Saints don't really have anything in their own right, but one of the things that's really good for Timeless here is the positioning, right? Bub now has all of this high ground to use on this Hanzo and already putting down a lot of damage.
Yep, you can see Mikey already just getting domed on multiple occasions here. Wub now repositioning, has vision on the supports. If they can get a pickup onto Squid just like that, and close after onto Juby, but barely gets the shield up in time. And because they're so focused on this high ground position from Wub, with the coverage as well from Greed, that gives free distance here for Timeless.
Yeah, they gotta find a way to get Mikey up there. Doom gets absolutely one-clicked by King, which is huge. Juby is antied, able to stay alive throughout all this nano, though from Cal. Could throw it on the Kuffa here.
King down below, making sure that they keep contention on the point. Does have an angle, looks for the pulse, doesn't need to. The damage is sufficient from Mikey, so they can just go with the additional damage from the pulse pistols, diving across the bridgeway. Oh, asleep, but there is still a nice juggle to dislodge 2 from the high ground, so King can maneuver down and still apply tension. Once again, making it so challenging. Stick comes in onto the big boy, but does have the primal rage. Kuffa now juggling back onto King. Little bit of a waver away from this cart itself, but there is still some pressure, and I don't know, it's just unreal that they're at 8 HP. Gets the recall even to stay at 8 HP. Can't get punished.
Big EMP, I mean, that's 2. Both the supports are down here, and Kuffa has to just get out of dodge in this scenario. Rally is also committed, and Timeless, I mean, just completely fall apart after a huge EMP from Tree, and now this is a little bit of a scary situation for Timeless here, Rich. I mean, yes, EMP and Rally are forced out from Saints, but with where the card is, there's no semblance of a respawn advantage, and by the time we get to this fight, it's most likely going to be the last one that Timeless has. Luckily, they do have a Rally and a Pulse Bomb to work with, but that's about it. They have to win this fight, or they're going to get held here.
Mikey, nanoed, Squid.
Not it.
It's, yeah, I don't know. It's a little early, I think. Nobody really positioned in the most optimal place for Mikey to take advantage of it, and really just a waste of an ult. Pulse comes in as well from Doomed. Again onto Squid in the back, and with now 45 seconds to go, there's going to be a lot riding on the shoulders of Mikey. Hack comes in as well to challenge Wub for the time being up on the high ground, and there's only 35 seconds left for Timeless to come back into this with 2 support ults.
Yeah, I mean, the Rally and the Nano should be enough for Saints to, or for Timeless to win this, unless King can come up huge with Pulse.
Nano active, pushing it out, making sure that they get it with the Rally in addition, both alongside one another, cleaning it up. Pulse Bomb though for 2, King comes in, but will be traded out once the same.
Maybe enough?
Simultaneously, it could be. Tree's gonna hold here, Juby's behind the trash can, and they just actually stemmed the bleeding.
And Tree is also so close towards that EMP here, and Mikey's coming back in with the Primal Rage. This is holdable right now. Someone from Timeless has got to get the touch.
Diving on top, denied. Up
Touch.
front by Mikey. They need to get to it. The dash Doomed through the back position of the saloon. Finds an angle. The overtime still continuing to dissipate as they keep it contested. Repositioned by Kuffa. Now to give an extra body with a massive amount of health to contest against it. The Primal is active. The Sleep comes in with a follow-up on the hack. They now need the Focus Fire coming in from King and Tree to eliminate them as they only have a matter of seconds still to go. King gets the counterplay onto Doom with a 1-for-1 trade with Mikey down. That might be salvageable. Timeless gets now an EMP, unfortunately, onto all 4 of them. But Wub, the Wub heads unite, coming in with the shots necessary. Juby bobbing and weaving around the payload. They have the spawn advantage, looking to get back into it. Juby is here. Kuffa is low, just under 4 meters, still active, as you do have Mikey with the Doomfist swap, desperately to get back into it. Both supports are down. Their ultimates are not available. They manage to work through it, and Timeless gets the checkpoint.
Timeless get to live another day with a huge clutch from Wub there. Absolute masterpiece of a Hanzo play coming in from Wub, who we talked about as Hanzo has grown in priority in this meta. Wub has really started to thrive, and there completely brings that one back for Timeless, who looked like they were completely out of it, and now Timeless get that extra life to start moving forward. A minute is left for them. They most likely won't be able to cap with time, but they can still cap, and it's going to be a difficult road, though. Saints, both support ultimates online. King also has a pulse to work with, but Doomed has one as well. Can Doom match a little bit, potentially stick Juby while the rally is going? That could be a way back in for Timeless here.
Vital for them to get something of that capacity, as you do see Doomed up top, forces out the recall, almost gets the full clip. Rally down below because the high ground position was there. Doomed actually gets Squid. Cal finds another onto Tree. It's going to be Timeless actually cleaning this up, but they have to cycle back in. Mikey deleting one of the supports for now on the offense. There's still a distance for Greed to get back into this. Wub has been pushing it the entire time, though. Every meter counts here as Saints get back on the defense.
And Saints has used both their defensive ultimates. Squid is just, switched over to the Kiriko just in desperate moments. Kuffa coming up towards that Primal Rage. The sustainability is going to be there, and Wub needs to find a way to be able to get this EMP. That could be the thing that pushes Timeless over the line.
25% remaining. Doomed almost gets taken down with the arrow in the back line to see if they can do anything. Doom gets a pickup onto Tree. 1-for-1 trade. The support is down. It's all on the shoulders of Cal.
Card.
Nano almost available. They don't manage to get it. It's under a meter. They dash back. It's King touching it, but no, there's not enough to deny it. And that's going to be Timeless. I cannot wait to see the Wubs in the chat right now. Screenshot that and send it to us. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was the reason they capped this was absolutely because of Wub's heroics on the Hanzo and Timeless. It looked like it was completely doomed for them on second point, but they're able to not only get through second, but cap third. So no matter what, they're gonna get an extra chance at this map, and it's because of just the complete and utter dominance of Wub here on this Hanzo.
I mean, here's the thing. We gave a lot of credit to Saints when it came to that mid-fight tactics. They are so able to work through that chaos, and you even highlighted specifically the weight that goes onto their shoulders. They never feel it, but here in the end of it, when Wub comes in clutch, takes the advantage, and even their clever play in the end here, where they manage to push it. Saints play too far forward. They're attempting to recover by drawing back, but there's not enough to actually deny the completion.
Yeah, I think Saints didn't necessarily know if the Primal Rage was available to them, so they thought that they could maybe just get into that back line, get the counter dive, and then go back in, but unfortunately they weren't able to get back because the Primal Rage was continuously booping them. So you can see, oh yeah, that skin looks
That's what
so
you're getting,
good.
fans.
Thank you, Overwatch
That's what you're
League.
getting, fans. That's right. Now you watching, you're gonna get it. We expect all of you to be using that skin permanently, making sure you're becoming Genji mains. We want to see it.
I mean, I just love that skin so much, honestly. I just can't get over it. But hashtag OWPTP 2023, get in on the conversation. As we can see,
After that fight, you should be in the conversation.
True. We want to see Wub highlights. Some of the Wub heads need to be tweeting, I think.
Absolutely. Just stacks full of them. As we do get into this, Mikey gets punished instantly. Nice follow through by Wub to take them down. Nice early defensive hold here. I guarantee you Timeless is on a high right now from the way that they completed that previous round.
And this is something I've really liked for when Wub was on the Sombra, was like the focus onto the tank line, right? It's something I talked about where like if all the hacks are going onto Mikey, it makes Mikey's life really difficult, and it gives Kuffa a little bit more room to maneuver in this Winston matchup. You can see every time Mikey is going forward, the hack icon is always onto him, and it's getting Wub actually pretty close towards that EMP, and Doomed also can farm up Pulse Bomb, but a huge anti, and that completely wipes Saints off the field.
Though all supports in this present moment have been sent back to spawn. Granted, Saints do have the closer spawn advantage, and realistically, Doom's actually been putting quite a bit of tension and causing King to have to play really defensive in some cases.
And he's actually also got the Pulse Bomb as well, so this is something that Saints are going to have to be very careful about. Juby going over to the Brigitte. I mean, the Brigittes haven't really gotten too much in terms of their ultimates yet, but the Juby is a very, very easy target to stick as well as Squid, so this is something that Doomed is going to be able to potentially get a lot of value with this Pulse Bomb. Another huge anti from Cal.
Pulse Bomb comes in, Doom gets 2 bolt supports down, makes lightning fast work of both of them, and now it's just a avalanche from Timeless to clear the rest.
It feels like a complete reverse of what we were seeing beforehand, where it was like Antarctic Peninsula, Squid was really the one coming in on the Ana, having and gaining a lot of value, but now it's Cal who's hit a couple of really huge antis that have completely negated anything Saints have wanted to do, and you can see Timeless have an EMP ready and available to them. Tree not even close to theirs yet, so this is going to be a fight win for Timeless, I think.
And look at Wub in the back, the EMP getting the initial hack. The frontal position is there. What beautiful coordination from Timeless onto this. They don't even have to force the EMP out of this. No ultimates contributed, though Timeless has lost both of their supports, which is going to be a little bit more disastrous for them because they have such a distance, but with the recovery from the rest of the squad, they actually get back into this.
I mean, fantastic counter dive from Timeless, right, where they see Mikey is going in aggressively, and then Wub and Kuffa in the backline just dive and get a nice hack, and it's completely done from there. And Timeless, you're right, don't even have to use that EMP, so now they have one of their own to still counter if Tree brings one to the table. This is going to be a battle of EMPs here, but Saints only have a minute left in their bank, and for the first time, I think, throughout these playoffs, they're looking a little bit frazzled.
Yes, you can see that there is a weakness onto the armor. Seeing how they play this to dive in. 60 seconds to go. Hack comes in onto Cal. Great support and assistance. Topping Cal back up, but unfortunately isn't enough with Tree. Close in proximity. Sleep as well onto Kuffa. Doomed goes for the pulse bomb. Wide. Doesn't quite land. Tree sweeping in with the assistance from Mikey, who's being juggled in the corner. Holding onto the Primal Rage. There is still methodology for Timeless to get back into this. They just have to focus down Kuffa and bring them away from this position. 2 ticks have been gained. Saints managed to once again, as we comment multiple times over, hold on through this mid-fight, but with the rally from Greed, that could be a recovery method for them. Picks up onto the second support, so it's only Greed that remains. 25 seconds to go, and they just have 15% to go.
Yeah, and Juby is not in this fight. You can see that rally is available. Juby needs to find a way to get back into this fight in time. Mikey is getting taken down incredibly low. Juby should be back here eventually, and the rally should be able to turn this one in Saints' favor.
Has sights onto Kuffa, goes for the counter dive, bypasses it completely. Mikey has nothing to do with it. The barrier has been put up so that they can just withstand the damage. King finds Kuffa out in the open, left vulnerable. Rally gives the armament and protection necessary for Saints to be able to weather once again, and they will be able to take this, transitioning into the street space. But my goodness, what a solid hold from Timeless.
Yeah, Saints can take a deep breath right now, and they get that extra chance. They can get a couple of these stragglers right now and potentially just take that space on that high ground, which is going to be important for them because you want to be able to keep this high ground, move that cart forward, and they're just going to be able to, again, dive very aggressively here from Mikey, but it looks like they have the healing available to them to stay alive. So It's going to be Saints now moving forward, having control of this high ground. Ultimates in their favor really here as well. They weren't moving the cart, which is a little bit of a blunder, I think, there. But now it's going to be very difficult for Timeless to take this high ground away, especially if they don't have something like an EMP to work with. That's going to be the big thing. If they can get up there with an EMP from Wub, that might be able to break open this defense.
And Tree now on the Hanzo. Nice dive onto King. Makes quick work. Same thing with the stick, but there is a huge recovery. Nano even onto Tree the second it lands. What a distant Bionade to land as well. Wub comes in onto Juby. These are some definite surprise attacks here from both fronts as there's a minute and 30 seconds and Saints are having a heck of a time to continue pushing this but still getting some progress.
Timeless did play that really smart though. They see that King is kind of like on the cart by himself and then they go in with Wub, hack the Tracer, and the dive is perfect, but there's a nice EMP from Wub. Tree is taken down very early. Cal might not be long for this world, so it's traded back out.
And even the Bionade that lands onto 2, King can't go in aggressively. They have no ability to gain that health back if they need to. And there's some harassment here from Wub, able to counteract that backline flanker.
Oh, Mikey's taking down Solo. Actually gets healed back up again. Mikey was at 38 health, able to survive. It's something that we talked about so much with Mikey. These maneuvers and being able to play their life so well keeps him alive. And Timeless, though, come back in. They have a lot of key ultimates. That nano boost is going to be big onto Kuffa into the backline.
Ooh, another shutdown again. King getting picked up. Wub doing a stellar job, as we've talked about before, with the Sombra play, but there is still that massive strain that comes in from Tree in the back. Huge pickup from the assist, but both supports eliminating. Now it's only 25 seconds to go. Things look quite dire.
I mean, this is going to be last chance saloon for Saints, and with Squid going down, that's a huge pick nano onto Kuffa. So this means Saints have to retreat here. They don't want to get staggered out because they only have 10 seconds left here, Rich.
Yep, and with that pickup, they continue to press forward. There is the shield to block the storm arrow, so Kuffa isn't vulnerable. Pulse bomb comes in onto Mikey. That's going to be the nail in the coffin. There's a backline aggression from King to try and push the cart, but it is a Hail Mary of an opportunity to turn this back. Dragon Strike out of nowhere finds Doom.
They can't get on.
And they can't get on in time. King tries to go for the dash reset. It is a 1-to-1 map score with Timeless able to bulk up and take this map of Hollywood.
I mean, that was really good adaptation, I think, from Timeless. I think that this is a map where I was like, okay, Mikey's going to come in and Mikey's going to play extremely well, but the way that Wub in particular was able to play between both the Hanzo, like the mechanical skill of the Hanzo I think was something, but also I think the coordination between Wub and between Kuffa when they were making these dives on the Sombra and the Winston was just absolute perfection. And then Squid, or Cal rather, also really coming up clutch. They hit a lot of huge antis, so this was a really, really good gut check for Timeless in this moment where it was a map that, you know, Mikey's coming in, we know how good Mikey is on the Winston, and Timeless were able to weather the storm and play this defense incredibly well. And it's, again, the first time where I feel like Saints kind of looked like they didn't really have an angle to work with.
Seeming mortal from the immortal at which that we thought they were. And honestly, when it comes to how Timeless was playing in the control, they deviated away. We thought it was going to be a significant challenge. When you're also talking about Mikey coming in on the Winston, which we know is so proficient, there is a lot of leveling up here from Timeless, able to bash against what Saints are bringing to the table. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how this continues to unfold in this series as we do tie it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely one where, you know, Saints have been playing so well going into this. They had a lot of momentum, but I think now that Timeless has won this map, this is kind of them saying, like, hey, we are no slouches in our own right, and I think this is definitely trending towards being a very competitive series, which you would expect from a winners finals here in Spring Series.
Going blow for blow as we will see that third map coming up just after this break, so don't go anywhere, my friends, because we are so excited to see how it continues.
Tracer has quickly become one of the most popular heroes in high-level Overwatch 2. It takes insane mechanical skill, cerebral game sense, and ice in your veins to make impact plays with her, but these players make it look easy.
Maimon and Vesto are just playing off of each other perfectly.
W Maimon, by the way, found one who built that Transcendent. And a pulse bomb connects onto both Fuki and Turkey. W Maimon on this map on Havana truly has been next level.
And just as their eyes glance away, a pulse bomb connects to the back of their head. Canale and Cookie hit the dirt. Rocket's trying. Rocket could be a hero in moments like these. Rocket saved the day again!
Rocket's gonna chase him out too. Oh, and he Traitor gaps him. Yeah, Rocket's that guy right now.
Marco, Polo, Marco, Polo.
Hello?
Calling it out. I'm calling it out. Yeah, calling all heroes. Radiant Majors 2. Signups. I know. I was really trying. I was really trying with that one. Signups close Tuesday, June 27th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure that you do sign up for those that do want to participate in this. It is an amazing opportunity to do so. Sign up at start.gg uphill or /CAH Major 2, and that's where you will be able to sign up. You know what? Let's cut the cans. Let's cut the cans.
Uphill.
I know, it's because that's what I always do to remember, man. Because there's an uphill and a downhill slash. It's uphill, downhill.
I've never heard it called uphill and downhill slash. Never.
Uphill, downhill. Yeah.
Never in my 27 years of life have I heard it called an uphill and downhill slash. That is.
Yeah.
I will be taking that one to the bank.
Cash it in because it's expensive. As we do find ourselves coming back to it really is. Us with my age, I'm really not that old, I swear, people. As we do enter into our third map, which is going to be Havana. Escort is where we go. It is a 1-to-1 score, and Kenobi, I think that this is going to be an interesting one. I know we also have some adjustments as well, as we can take a look at the rosters here for both Timeless and Saints.
And this is kind of how like escorts have gone, I think, in the current meta, where it's like you have one player on the team who just comes in and plays, you know, more of the flex tank roles, the Sigmas, the Ramatras, and we see Clear coming in onto Timeless to play that role. Also, Diva, I think, is something that we see sometimes on a map like this. False coming back in. This kind of tells me probably Ramatra is coming to the table. Sigma was something that we did see a lot on Havana, like especially on first, but also I think now the meta shifted more towards like having a lot of close holds, so I would expect this is probably going to be Ramatra, you know, brawl style, get those close holds, and then those enclosed areas on second. That's probably what we're going to be seeing a lot more of. So I think that that's kind of why we're seeing False and Clear come into this lineup, is to play that Ramatra because it's so good on these escort maps that we see. And I wonder how it's going to be operating with these two, because I think one of the things that, again, was so well done by Timeless in that previous map was they were focusing down Mikey a lot. Like, they made it kind of a concerted effort to really negate Mikey's impact on something like the Winston. And they did do that a little bit in Antarctic Peninsula. The one submap that they did win back then was a lot of it was Wub just continuously hacking, you know, and trying to take down that main tank in False. But on a map like this, I wonder if we do see the Sombra at all, because I think it is a map where you can play it, but we do see more of like the brawl, like the Mei, the Hans Hanzo, things like that.
Yeah, and with us going into it, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it contributes. But also the fact is that the Hanzo and the Widow play, like those are the things that I'm also going to keep a significant watchful eye on, because we have seen thunderous storms come from those two heroes, from both of these players, and what they can actually do to the opponent, maneuvering around those shields, finding those clever angles, the surprise factor like we talk about when it specifically comes to more so of the Widow. And those are also big factors that I cannot wait to see as we are entering into this, where it is going to be Saints on the attack first and having Timeless on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, Wub is an insane just hit scan player in general. We saw what the Hanzo can do on that previous map. So if he's going to be on the Widow, I mean, I'm definitely like thinking this is something that we can really look forward to being impactful. As you can see right here. Have you claimed your Overwatch Contenders? I don't think I have it yet. I was at 66% last time I checked.
You weren't an early riser like me. I already claimed it. So for all of those in the chat, you should make sure to check it. In addition to that, you should use the hashtag OWPTP2023. We love to see your tweets, friends. We've had some crazy gameplay so far. I feel like this could go the distance. So there's plenty
100%.
of time for you to be able to contribute with some of those.
I think the other thing about the it's like 2 hours, I think, for the Genji skin. So like, I mean, people in chat are gonna get it. If you've been watching since the start of the stream, you're gonna get it. Like it's done and dusted right now. So definitely make sure that you're claiming that one, as we're gonna be seeing on the defensive end again. This is what I kind of talked about, like these close holds that just kind of soak up a lot of time at the start of these matches. And we're gonna be looking out for on the offensive end is kind of where Tree is going to be, right? Because I think the off angles are incredibly impactful, because you have to be wary of the fact that there might be, you know, a Hanzo flanking through the side and that can potentially burst you down. But actually, Saints are going to come out on the dive and just try and instantly kill someone.
They jump in quickly onto the defensive side. There's a 1-for-1 trade, but the support line is what's hindered most. Both go down right out the gate. Saints make quick work of it, and Tree... Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna say, don't worry, Shimada, brother. Even though I may die, I'm gonna send you to the grave.
I actually think this is a really smart thing to do for Saints to like kind of break this close hold, because the best thing about it was like you don't lose too much in terms of that ultimate charge, right? You switch back over to just more of the rush style. You're kind of keeping all your ults intact, but you've basically negated everything the close hold wanted to do. You win the fight so quickly and cleanly. You burst people down. Timeless isn't able to stay in that fight long enough to get ultimates and really start to macro their way into a victory, because look at Saints in terms of their ultimates. They're about even, so now it's back into neutral, and now this is a great position for Saints to start moving forward.
Gonna look to try and hold this angle. Also keeping a watchful eye on those who potentially might be in the high ground, as both Ravenous Vortex become active, keeping them slowed for the moment. Clear extremely low, left in the corner. Oh my goodness. The Immortality Field comes in by Cal and gives them a second life. It's moments like those that we've highlighted for Cal on this Baptiste play, and they come in now at the Blizzard, locking down False in the middle of it. The Immortality Field comes out from Squid to buy seconds, but in doing so, King is left vulnerable for Doom to get the pickup.
I mean, it was a great wall from King, but a better wall from Doomed at the very end of that fight. That wall from Doomed, absolutely insane. It basically just completely negated any follow-up Saints could have had, and now Timeless, I mean, sitting pretty in terms of this defensive end, right? They got that Blizzard way ahead. Doomed actually is back towards 40% to 1, so they're pretty much even keel close towards where King is going to be, and Timeless have a lot of ultimates to be able to just kind of rotate them around to be able to win this fight.
Wub on the Hanzo. That is accurate in its most truest form, as you see a Dragon Strike now from the counter, wanting to stifle Wub. Big pickup onto Doom. I think that Tree heard the tweet and is now looking to try and elevate themselves, but Wub comes in with a lovely pickup. Annihilation from Clear, making sure to completely zone Saints back. You do have the Dragon Strike that comes sweeping in from the side and sends King back to spawn.
I mean, False is still, you know, posturing, seeing if they can hold this position. Annihilation is going to be available to False. False needs to be able to stay alive so that King can get back into this fight and eventually come back in. But now Annihilation has to be forced.
Oh, yep, Annihilation now looking. Oh, wait, no, and just gets absolutely obliterated. They were at half health. The healers couldn't top them up, just around the pillar underneath. And now this is looking absolutely disastrous with only 60 seconds to go.
I mean, Timeless are looking so crisp and clean. I mean, even just the small things that they're doing, like just using a Dragon Strike Strike when King is in Ice Block to just instantly kill them after they come out of it. Like, it's just so smart with what they're doing, and King now has the Blizzard, and it's the only thing Saints have to be able to win this fight. This Blizzard has to hit Pater, because if it doesn't, on the other end, Doomed is going to have one of his own, and that's going to turn the fight completely.
They need to hold their heads high. A lot riding on it. Seeing what they can gain. Pushing with 35 seconds. Ooh, that's an early cooldown use. The Blizzard's still available. Wub gets a pickup onto Squid. That is not what you want to see. The Blizzard is lobbed just in range to slow one, but doesn't lock them down, but it puts them in a crippling position to where Wub actually gets another takedown.
Wub is going to end up going down. I mean, they're going really aggressive here. They have to be incredibly careful on Timeless's side. They don't want to give another chance to Saints, but they might have flown too close to the sun.
They flew, and they have been incinerated for the moment. Tree now with a Dragon Strike zones them off from a retreat, and that leaves Clear in the open for Squid to get the pickup. Tree gets a second time onto Wub, and the beautiful defensive hold is shattered in front of Timeless's eye.
I mean, that is the most Icarus play I've ever seen, I think, in Overwatch. I mean, they're going to try and recontest here, but they can't even. The wall is too good, and now Timeless are going to have to retreat here.
This is now a new lease on life for Saints. They have managed to work through this. They came back in the desperate moments, and now with Tree looking to try and continue to find angles onto this, will be able to reposition, holding themselves in a high standard, working into this brewery.
See Tree just seeing what they can find. He can find, ooh, just almost finds the head of Wub there. Wub has the high ground control, though, and a Dragon Strike, so Saints are in this enclosed area, and it might be scary. Tree's gonna get a run on. Immortality Field is perfect, though.
Squid comes in big, but unfortunately there is hyper focus onto it after the initial engagement, so Doom gets the shutdown, and they have to try and work with what they have left. False having the Annihilation isn't gonna look to contribute if they've lost two, and again, they find themselves in a position of where they have to play extremely defensive. Clear even getting completely topped up and maintained in the doorway to the right.
Clear does have to be careful, wants to run away, as King is going to be going back in over to the Mage just to offer himself a little bit more of that utility with that wall. It's Timeless. And I have an Annihilation to work with, so does False, so these walls are going to be incredibly impactful. Doomed is close, though, again, towards another Blizzard, and he's been really lapping King a lot of the time with this cooldown.
Well, and the adjustment, too, with the hero doesn't help either. Reducing the additional percentage, surpassing that 25% is troublesome. You do have the Blizzard now locked into the corner. There's three of them. Oh, my goodness. They sidestep out of it, but they're still actually going to get frozen just as they peek. Clear moves forward and takes full advantage of it. And even False commits the Annihilation after three are down.
That's one you're going to want to have back, I think, if you're False. Yes, you're going to get, Wub in this situation, and False is going to end up living, but is that going to be enough? Clear actually is getting taken down incredibly low. Might have to force out Annihilation himself.
Oh, but look at the survival that comes in from Clear. We've really seen Clear elevate and step up consistently on this Ramatra. The times that we've seen him when they step in, replacement, 30 seconds now to go, still alive. The healers are keeping him fluid and now can go right back in with 26 seconds. The Annihilation completely crippling Saints as they have to zone themselves back. The Amplification Matrix, though, actually forces Timeless to play towards the outside. Greed goes down. They've got the Amplification Matrix on the return as well. Clear is extremely low. What a heads-up play coming in from Cal to keep them going, but it is still a swarm of Saints being able to surround Pinsir and capitalize onto Timeless.
I mean, how many times are Saints going to be able to do this where the fight looks completely done and dusted, but they get an extra life, and Clear is just standing here with no legs to stand on? They're going to end up going down, and Saints somehow again in overtime are able to get this one back. Nice wall there to break them off. Saints are going to try and get back on this cart, though.
Block early, gonna be right in the heart of the Blizzard. The Immortality Field focus. Doomed is now a block of ice once again, but not in a good way, and that is another checkpoint reached with 1:30 on the clock for the home stretch.
I mean, you're kicking yourselves if you're Timeless right now, I think. Saints have gotten away with absolute murder twice in this map so far, where there was a moment where Timeless had that ability to shut this map out, and Saints are somehow on second point, moving through third, And with this, decent time bank to still move forward with, they're going to get 1 or 2 more fights left into this. They have an Annihilation to work with. They also have sound barrier advantage, so that's going to be a big deal. Clear is by himself right now.
Oh no, the wall! There is not enough support. They couldn't find an angle to get enough healing onto them, and they being left vulnerable like that is an easy capitalization for Saints.
Oh, and with this ice block, I mean, it's just going to be a matter of time before Doomed ends up going down. Saints moving forward, still 40 seconds in their bank. A lot of ultimates from both teams coming up in this next fight. In this enclosed area on the bridge, they could all be very impactful.
Clear once again, close to the payload, utilizing it as best as they can to reduce some of the incoming fire. Annihilation holstered for now. As they go blow for blow, Juby close, unfortunately gets hit by the effect through. False on the front line. They zone them back. 14 seconds. Last-ditch effort here for Saints.
Yeah, they need to get Juby back into this fight ASAP. Doomed is actually taken down. That means no Blizzard.
That's so crippling. They had to fall back. They need to play this bridgeway perfectly. The Annihilation is active in just a moment from Clear, wanting to zone back, still keeping an eye onto False. The Amplification Matrix is also going to force back Timeless to play back into the doorway. And now that it's in overtime, they just have to maneuver them away from this payload as it's going to continue to dissipate the longer this goes. Now, King playing close. Does look to generate towards this Blizzard to counteract against Doomed. Flanking maneuver here from Clear, separated from the team. The Blizzard is active. 2 are close, but they don't get locked down. There is the Immortality Field committed, but it is quickly brought down within this. The Frigid Weathers will lock them in place for the moment, as now Annihilation the Annihilation come out. They shall hold the ground. They will hold this line, and they will not allow Saints to pass to gain completion in this home stretch.
Yeah, I mean, False is still going to just be juggling on to this point, but he's eventually going to go down, and King unfortunately not able to get back into this fight with that Blizzard, and Timeless able to weather the storm at the very end. But I mean, if you're Saints, you're like, okay, we got like 2 points. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, it was a moment where I was like, Saints aren't even going to cap first, but then I think Timeless really Icarus. I mean, they went so aggressive there, and they just had to really just fall back and not be aggressive, because you have to respect, like, even if you're winning as hard as they were, you still gotta respect players like Tree, like King, like False, because if you don't, exactly what happened will happen. So they are probably kicking themselves that they weren't able to get that full cold, and it kind of felt like it broke their back a little bit.
Absolutely. It's like you feel the crack in Nozdormu's shoulder from WoW, where the sand's just kind of like getting ready to seep out a little bit, and it's like you still have some sand, but like it's still dissipating from your shoulder, and that's what's happening right now. Timeless, unfortunately, not able to come through on top, and really, it's almost like with Hollywood, where you saw them get this big boost of morale and energy to play proficiently, but now you're going to see Saints do the same in return. Wub right now, tactical visor, absolutely. But Tree realistically stepped up here.
Yeah.
Wub was so far ahead at the initial defense, but then throughout the rest of this, it hard shifts in favor of Tree. Not to discredit Web, but it was a big shift of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, Tree is actually in the process of deadlifting right now in terms of, like statistically, in terms of those final blows. And if you want to join the conversation, hashtag OWPTP, as you can see the stats from Tree. 18 limbs, 13 final blows, playing incredible, as we're going to do the close hold gambit again. King goes down very early, and this should be Saints falling apart completely.
Yep. And now you can see False just wanting to buy as much time as possible. If Tree can find more picks like that to make this just, again, not as much win the fight, but just reduce the clock. That's what you want to do here. Those picks need to come through. Doomed has already forced out the defensive, but Wub gets a clean shot since the focus was on to Doom. Tree not aware of it, and now they can start moving forward.
Yeah, and this has been a couple of times where King has like died really early in these fights, and the Mei is such an important piece of this composition, especially just being able to be in the fight to not only just do damage and have some utility with the slow, but also build up Blizzard. Blizzard is one of the most impactful ultimates in this game, especially in the current meta that we're in, where everything is so clumped up. You need to be able to get that in time, and Doomed has just had King's number a lot of the time with that ultimate charge.
And again, finding ourselves on this anchoring corner. False, once again pincered between the wall and the bulletin board. Getting pressured. Nice coverage from King to slow down and not allow an easy escape here for Timeless, as the Ravenous Vortex again causes even more of a slow. With the early pickup onto Wub, that makes it challenging for them to come back in with full force, since the pick potential is still higher for Tree and looking for these shots still.
I feel like every time we're on Tree's POV and we switch to it, it's just like dink, dink. I mean,
Dink.
now that we're on it, not hitting too many of them, but here comes the Ant Matrix. Nice wall to block off some of the incoming damage.
Still gonna work their way through it, just attempting to find some kind of sight, even using that information gathering with a recon. Oh, there's King getting a great follow-up, though, with a headshot onto Doomed, who has been able to get the better end of this a majority of the time. Saints are able to hold themselves again now with already half the time bank off the clock.
No, Saints, I mean, they're in a great position here. It's also good for Tree in this scenario because Tree is able to have full control of the sightlines and of the angles, which is, you know, as well as Wub is playing, Tree still can just shock you in a couple of ways that he's taking these angles. So Saints in a great position here. King has managed to get back up towards that Blizzard to match the one from Doom, and a lot of ultimates incoming into this next fight. The big thing, though, is that Cal has Ant Matrix ahead.
Oh, Cal gets bodied for the moment in the back. Amplification Matrix is active to work their way through the Blizzards. Nice takedown early. You do have Juby with the sound barrier to allow continuous defensive holding as Clear plays low. Annihilation. Oh my goodness, you just saw False get absolutely eviscerated with that health value that they had initially. Tree now looking to escape, can't quite get away from the raging fists as they have Clear round the outside and guarantee the checkpoint.
Timeless now, 3.5 minutes to work with through second here. Hefty time bank for them. They keep the Annihilation as well, but a lot of ultimates went into that last fight. And I think Cal having that Ant Matrix really was the difference maker. Just the amount of healing that Cal was putting out. We usually talk about Ant Matrix kind of in a way where it like amplifies damage, but also amplifying that healing really helped Timeless sustain through that fight ahead of Saints. But now the shoe's going to be probably on the other foot a little bit here, as Saints will be the ones who have that Ant Matrix. And this is a great place to be able to hold if you can try and hold here on this high ground and make it difficult for Timeless to move forward.
Yeah, False gets divided for the moment, has to force Nemesis quite early. Clear has to do the same, though, since there is a counter wall across the catwalk. Annihilation peek in the corner. Great wall to deny that Annihilation from accumulating additional time, but with the reposition down below and up the stairway, it actually still gains a pickup onto Cal and leaves Wub vulnerable for False to get the elimination.
And Clear also used that Annihilation probably as desperation there. Felt like he could maybe bring that one back, but it just didn't end up working for Timeless. And that's one where it's like Timeless, if they would have been able to keep that Annihilation, especially with Cal coming up towards an Ant Matrix of his own, they could have really just macroed their way into a fight win. But now it's a little bit more even here. And Saints are in a great position to hold, especially, again, with having the Hanzo on the defensive end and the Mei. The poke is just really, really impeccable for Saints, and it's difficult for Timeless to move through. They have to be incredibly careful.
It's pestering to try and work through because there is so much success that it's having on this initial defense. Tree gonna have another Dragon Strike to zone off, which we've seen do a couple of occasions where Clear is left vulnerable. Wub down below can't quite find a sightline. This is a massive position to be in for the Dragon Strike to get so much damage. Clips Greed, takes them down. They've lost the utility with the AoE movement, and Wub now is being punished in the low ground.
Yeah, this is a really good counter Dragon. Cal is actually gonna force out Ant Matrix to try and buy back into this one best they can. You can see Clear moving forward, trying to take that positioning away. Tree getting down, taken down incredibly low.
Cal gets picked up. Tree ain't having none of this and wants to try and counteract against the Wub heads that are out there giving that support. Blizzard tossed in, locking down three. Saints now are going to be broken for the moment, but are they completely shattered? It is Tree still able to get some value here, 1:20, and the payload is not moving as swiftly since False is still present.
Oh, and with the Ant Matrix, there's no way Timeless can stand on Ceremony. They have to get out. They actually commit the sound barrier. Are Saints going to commit theirs of their own? Yes, they are, and try and push back.
Oh, Tree and Wub battling it out. Body shot. Now another Dragon Strike, mind you. Picks up Greed a second time. Deja vu moment where Greed at this point is just a feeding frenzy for the Dragons.
I mean, this has just been... Oh my god, Tree is just playing absolutely out of this world right now, and only 45 seconds left for Timeless, and Doom just made a desert swap over to the Sombra just to offer a little bit more utility and hack potential on that tank line. Goes back over to the Mei, but Timeless have nothing to stand on. It's just going to be that singular Dragon Strike from Wub, but you look at False. False can be super aggressive here with this Annihilation and just make it so Timeless can't go through this enclosed area.
Yeah, with 25 seconds, it's in dire need now. For Timeless, they need to get to this position. They already have to force out the Immortality Field from Cow. Doomed is critically low. Dragon Strike causes a divide. Forces back King. Clear gets the pickup. They can't get the healing onto False fast enough, and they don't have the Annihilation anymore. Now, rounding this corner, the Immortality Field, forced from Squid, still has a few more seconds until it's back online as they look to get this 5th player to recover for Saints defensively. Looking now to move up top. There is an Ice Block already. King left alone. Wub still combating on the high ground. Squid actually eluding the shots. Tree goes down though once again as they reposition into an unfavorable angle. 1-for-1 trade. It's 4 versus 4. Squid gets a shutdown. We've seen supports in this moment specifically come out clutch with the extra damage, especially when you have an amplification matrix. Clear rounding the payload with the Annihilation, chasing down Squid. No supports here today as Clear wants to eradicate them from this payload, getting themselves in this overtime. Another life, as we saw from Saints, picking up the last few and go for the home stretch themselves. They're not out of this yet.
And now it's just about these last couple of fights that we're going to have here. If Timeless are going to be able to get to that golden box of victory, a minute and 30 seconds is all they have to work with. Timeless swapping Doomed back over to the Mei again, but look at Saints. That Blizzard from King. King has died early a lot of these fights so far. If Saints can find a way to get this Blizzard out and get it clean, they are going to be in such a good position to take this into overtime.
You can see, nice wall again onto False. Can they capitalize on it? Nemesis comes out.
Oh my god.
Ravenous Vortex, they actually get the block as well from King, who has the Blizzard. Everything is gone. The Immortality Field, though, in return, has been forced out from Cal. No longer there. Wall buys a few more seconds as this payload continues to push forward. You can see the box of victory right there on the bridgeway. Oh no! Cal finds Squid! One comes in! Everyone's being picked off! It's Timeless. In the end of it, we thought the hourglass was fractured, but they've managed to tape it up. The sand is flowing, and they will be able to actually take the lead with a miraculous turnaround. Saints are unable to get back in time, and they are now finding themselves on a match point.
I mean, this is not something I would have thought we would say, that Saints were on match point, or Timeless were on match point rather, and Saints were on the opposite side of that. Even through a tree deadlift, there is no way you could stop this Timeless team when they're moving and grooving so well. I mean, the first picks that they were getting so many times during these fights, absolutely impeccable. And I think Doom deserves a ton of credit. Not as flashy a lot of the time as Wub or on these other, very dynamic heroes, but just the amount of value from the walls, the amount of value from just the positioning of the Mei. I mean, this was just a Mei, I think, differential throughout a lot of it. Doom played just at another level, and a lot of the time for King, unfortunately, just was not able to keep up.
And you touched on it when it was like midway through this map, where it was just this feeling of Doomed lapping King. And even if it wasn't like a full lap, it was just always having the upper hand. And you saw that stat card from Tree. Tree put in a ton of work here, like significant work, to try and keep this going. And unfortunately, in the end of it all the other moving parts of Timeless just being able to outmatch Doomed, being almost that anchor, allows them to get this win.
And it's really nice seeing Doomed in particular kind of get his flowers, because Doomed was someone who kind of has always been like kind of the Scottie Pippen to the Michael Jordan a lot of the times, where there's always been like that other DPS player that's like kind of the one popping off. And even here, sometimes we see that, with Wub and how good Wub is playing on the Hanzo. But Doomed, I think the things that don't show up in the kill feed, like I was talking about, like the positioning, like the wall placements, like the mages play in general, I think is really turning the tide in this one, because I think it looked like there was only one Mei in the server, and that was Doomed. Doomed was playing absolutely fantastic, and the rest of Timeless benefited very heavily from that. So Saints are down 1-2, which is not something, again, I thought I'd say going into this one, but it is going to be New Queen Street as our next map, and this is where I think it's going to be much better for Saints, because Saints can play double flanker, something that they really are more comfortable with. I think the Ramattra composition, it's something that they've been working on, but like it feels like Timeless have their number completely when it comes to that.
TikTok, one could say, with Timeless looking to try and take the advantage, close it out now, and secure themselves in a grand final position. They have one more map to do, as we do see that there is a player rotation. We are going to have Kuffa coming in to try and combat against Saints, which again, this map I do feel very strongly for Saints. It's a pick that has favoritism to them, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if they are able to bring this to a map 5, because I mean, it's more so now you feel a little bit of the weakness. Like, not to say that they're rattled by any means, but you can see that there is some definite, okay, like, we're feeling the heat right now a little bit.
I think this also means that with Kuffa in the lineup, I expect Junker Queen is something that we could definitely see on a map like this, because I think you can play the Winston, but Winston into the Ramatra comp is a bit scary, especially if there is going to be that double flanker look on the other side where it's like Sombra just attacks you once as Winston, you get followed up by a Tracer, you're probably just instantly dead. So I think that's something to keep in mind, especially with False sticking in the lineup. That does tell me that it is most likely going to be that Ramatra composition, which is something that False kind of has been piloting more so often than not. If Mikey was in the lineup, that probably means that there's going to be the Winston. So I think Timeless bring Kuffa back in, gives them some options to play a little bit around what they want to do. And it's not like Doomed and Wub can't really play double flanker themselves, right? They definitely can do that. I think Wub is probably going to stay on the Hanzo, given the fact that it is most likely going to be Sombra, Tracer on the other side, and Hanzo very adept at dealing with Sombras. So this is a map where it's like, I think it is favored towards Saints because they did pick it and they have some options to play more towards their comfort, but Timeless still have, especially with the momentum that they have from those last two maps, have a chance of winning this one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so close. It's within their grasp. And, you know, touching on the Hanzo aspect of how it's been able to really check it, we did see the significance of just gaining that information, having that intel of where potentially the Sombra play is and how to actually negate it. Even a couple of times finding some decent pickups with those shots, getting the headshot, denying it accessibility, and also the punishment and slowing more so of this accumulation of the EMP. All these significant factors really contribute into that, which is going to make it really pressing onto Saints. But with this hopefully being a map selection, which we've seen them been able to play very proficiently, is going to allow them to be able to come back into this, making it a 2-2 map score.
And Saints, I mean, it's so weird because, again, I talked about this a little bit earlier kind of in the broadcast where it's like, it never looked like they were frazzled or like, you know, that they were on the back foot or behind the 8 ball, you know, whatever, you know, metaphor you want to use. Terminology. This looks like the first time where I've been like, besides like back in the group stage, it's like, I love this copy pasta. This is such.
Oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so great.
This is my favorite one. But like going back to Cal has been playing very good themselves. But I think going back to kind of like talking about the Saints, it's like no one's really pushed them in the playoffs so far. Yes, they were pushed in the group stages a little bit, but in the playoffs, it's kind of been smooth sailing for them. And now they're finally matching up against a Timeless team that is just punching them back in the mouth.
You know, I feel like that would be one of those things I'd go to like an open mic poetry night and I'd say that. Like I'd say it with such an intention and inflection. And for those of you that are giving us lovely tweets like those, you should definitely continue to do so. Hashtag OWPTP 2023. We're looking to hopefully get into a map 5. There's still another game after this, gamers, and we're looking to get this one underway.
It looks like actually we're going to see a mirror of the Junker Queen compositions. The interesting wrinkle, though, is that there's going to be on the other end for Saints an Ashe and a Genji. So this is a combination of DPS that's like stood the test of time because you can get those dynamites out and then Genji can follow up with those dashes and get the resets. And King is very comfortable on a pick like this, which is something that I would like to see, especially after he didn't look really comfortable on the Mei. And Cal immediately is taken down by Tree on that Ashe.
And you can see with that numbers advantage out the gate, the dash comes through, King secures the elimination, and I guarantee you they're feeling pretty good about that sweater that they got.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very momentum-based composition right now because of the fact that, again, Tree gets that pick so early, and now Wub actually has to make the decision to go onto a Ashe themselves because Sojourn is just not going to be able to stand the test of time in these elongated fights, doesn't have the range either to deal with it, so now you're a little bit more mono here in terms of that long-range advantage and also the AoE damage coming in from that Ashe Dynamite.
And you can see the harassment up top just off screen. Doom dashing into the back onto Squid, but there is some recovery and assistance from Juby. But down below, near this bot, Kuffa still residing close to cause contention as they continue to actually work their way through this. Kuffa not down just yet. Nice Suzu to give a few extra seconds. They need to get False, though, who is continuing to top themselves up with the support's assistance. Timeless critically low. Kuffa needs to get some kind of help, but unfortunately, there's a pickup into the back onto the Wub. But as Tree focuses that, there's still 2 eliminated onto Saints, which gives Timeless a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, the bot is still moving, and finally Tree will get taken down. Squid actually is able to trade one back in onto Cal. Eventually, the respawns will be here for Saints in this scenario, especially with the Junker Queen shout being able to bring them back in time. So Saints still can come back into this with the positioning that they have, and look at Tree already at a Bob.
We'll see how significant that Bob will be utilized from Tree. Positioning has been really great, what we've seen previously. Not as often in comparison, but when it does, it hits pay dirt. Nice takedown by Juby. This is going to make it, again, so much harder for Timeless to get back into this confidently.
Yeah, without the Tracer, you lose a lot of damage, and you can't kind of like poke around here. As a Dynamite, it lands onto King, but going to get healed back up. And again, this Bob is going to be very impactful in this next fight, turn it into a 6v5.
Oh no, and with Tree getting that early pickup, this is even worse.
Good
because
Suzu.
the Bob gets an extra coverage point to contest against this. There is a big engagement with the Rampage. A nice coverage though from Juby. Timing, making sure that they get that barrier out. Kitsune Rush is also thrown into this. Both teams with both of their support ultimates have been thrown into the mix, and now you get Tree. The big Omnic Butler giving some assistance. It got hors d'oeuvres and cocktails for you because they want to make sure they hit this checkpoint.
Wub is able to trade one back and actually is able to get the Bob out, and this means that this has to be a retreat here from the Saints. They can't stay as long as the Bob is here. Tree should eventually go down here, actually still staying alive, and Saints are trying to get out of dodge as best they can, but with Squid gone, this should be eventually a wrap-up for Timeless.
Yeah, a lot of credit here for Timeless, able to get through that despite it looking a little bit more favorable at the start of it, especially because they got that initial pick onto Wub from Tree out the gate. They turn this around, and now they can look starting to get some decent progress here and have Doomed lurking in the back for intel.
It is a little bit of a scary situation, though, for them, because there is still going to be the Rampage from False on the other end. There's also a Dragon Blade as well, and there's no defensive ultimates to deal with it. So you're going to be looking for Doom to potentially break the fight open at the start with something like a Pulse Bomb. Also, the Suzu from Cal is going to be incredibly important to be tracked here, because if it's forced out early, that means it's going to be a free Rampage for False.
Doomed diving onto Tree for the moment, forces the recall. Dynamite continues to get some decent pressure. That time, not so much. A little bit lackluster. His King on the outside just continues to get some shuriken damage. Really just the slow tempo, methodical play, because Saints at this point has the advantage. Timeless have to play this extremely well to take the advantage, as we do have Bob looking to hug this corner for the moment. False being so reserved and not wanting to overextend onto this, but now with King in the back, getting some shurikens, goes for the dash, Blade is active, there is some movement that comes in, great sound barrier as well to lead into this to counteract it, but the hack and slash still comes through. It is a meat shop right now, at least onto Wub, as the counter with the Rampage comes in. This is looking so bad with 4 players hit by Saints. Commanding shout buys a sliver of time for Squid to get out, hugs the wall, climbs it, and eludes the fire from Kuffa.
I can't believe Saints were able to stay alive. That was a 4-man Rampage, and they were able to somehow survive through all of that with the Kitsune Rush. Kuffa getting taken down incredibly low, but is being topped up by the rest of the team.
Ooh, big Dynamite. Suzu comes in, completely alleviates that, with now Kuffa dominating, moving forward, giving some space. Just moving inch by inch to take the advantage here. And if they can secure this checkpoint, that is beautiful for Timeless to gain that in this 4 minutes and 50-second position. Bob is active, tossed into the backside, but Wub is close as well. It actually does land in the middle by getting knocked up, and they do hold before the checkpoint.
That was a really good knife, actually, from Kuffa, who pulled the Bob and made sure it didn't get to the position where it could shoot down this alleyway, so the Bob really gets no value, and now Wub has a Bob of their own.
Oh, tossed it in, knocks Falsa, getting juggled profusely as the dash reset comes out from Doomed, playing up. Bob is there. Rampage forward. All 5-player Rampage. Ding, ding in the ring. It is the advantage here for Timeless at the get-go, but there is still a counterplay. The Kitsune Rush, it's Doomed for their life, looking to take down Squid. Wants to have some cooked and fried Squid in the back, but unfortunately gets out of it. And once again, Saints are actually able to work their way through it, but they've lost the advantage right now. They've not been able to hold defensively, so it is just a slight advantage for Timeless in accumulated meters.
But Saints are going to lose the fight here in this scenario. False is going to end up going down. Doomed is taken down low, but the shout is perfectly timed. Doom ends up going down, but have Saints committed a little bit too far. King will go down too, and the fight ends up going in favor of Timeless, so now they can start moving this bot a little bit more forward.
Checkpoint reached. They have guaranteed additional distance. Now, with 3 minutes and 30 seconds, Saints are in a dire stretch right now and have to play this perfectly.
Up here, Kuffa looking towards that Rampage eventually. King, Dragon Strike is going to be available, but there's nothing to deal with it. No sound barrier available for Juby here. They got to get the Suzu out in time.
Ooh, Kuffa now approaching this rampage. If they get it with the last couple of shots, they're in a perfect position because there's no way to counter it. King, oh my goodness, is barely high enough to survive. The deflect goes for one, but it's a trade out the second that deflection is dropped. Wub takes it. Tree with the bob thrown into the backside to get some crossfire damage, but Kuffa holding hide in the corner. The Suzu comes in, potentially going to use the rampage, but goes in for the carnage. Both supports are close. Sound barrier is active. Still holding on to this rampage, not wanting to toss it into the mix. A secondary attempt to bring down Falls. Finally gets three. Both supports are clipped. Is there the follow through? Kuffa gets Tree in the back. Didn't even get clipped by it. Kuffa's coming out with fists blazing, daggers sharpened, and is cleaning it up.
Kuffa is just embodying the spirit of Australia right now with this Junker Queen play. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. The ability to stay alive throughout all of this. The supports deserve a ton of credit as well, but Kuffa is playing absolutely out of his mind on this Junker Queen, and Timeless are looking pretty in terms of this meterage. 2 minutes left for Saints to work with.
And they want to continue throttling. They've already put themselves in a prime position, but they want to make a statement entering into this grand finals. A team that Saints that we thought so highly, not only you and myself, but also the chat earlier, with a 60+% confidence that they'll take it. Now, as they look to enter in onto this corner, False with the rampage themselves, looking to see what type of value they can get. They have to be so aware because it's the only ultimate they have at their disposal, and Green can counteract it with their sound barrier, completely nullifying the value that it can bring to this. And Timeless is now starting to accumulate their own ultimates, which they lead with once again. Commanding shout to peek the corner. The Jagged Blade pulls Kuffa forward, but the Suzu is there from Cal to keep them topped up and has to drop down below into the egg house. Might get a scrambled egg or two before they come back out with some extra buttered toast, and still pushing back in. Timeless now is going to have to be very careful, but they're going to go in with the blade, diving into the back. The Rampage has a hard swivel onto Doom, but is covered by Greed with the sound barrier. Cal having that Kitsune rush as well, over across the front of the barricade.
Kuffa's coming out towards the Rampage relatively soon here. No defensive ultimates available to them. Rampage available, here comes!
Big, oh Suzu. No, it gets Suzu'd. Everyone is recovered from it, but still, it's gonna be a carnage from behind. The blade comes into the backside of Saints, and they are still unable to pull through. Ooh, Blade gonna be able to get something. There you go.
King's still alive. Kuffa's still here.
And the commanding shout gives them the sustain that they need. Over 100 meters with only 35 seconds. Saints are now looking broken.
Saints, I mean, have to play this rest of this map absolutely perfectly here. They have a Bob, they have a Kitsune Rush, but you have to string together 4 or 5 fights to even try and get back into this one. And look at Timeless, so smart here, just retreating back to this corner, knowing that they can play this corner effectively. They have such a lead here. 15 seconds is all that is left for Saints, or they're going to be heading to the losers bracket.
Ultimates online for Tree and Squid. They start to gain some push on the return. Kuffa slowly but surely maneuvering back. That stat card is miraculous to see. Playing into the corner. Carnage onto False. The Kitsune Rush is active. The retreat needs to be clean from Timeless as they do go for the counter. Kitsune Rush rushing into the corner. They want to buy back into this. Bob is there for the extra player. King goes on to the high ground. 1-for-1 trade. Juvi's eliminated though. They no longer have the mobility and the AoE healing, but still manage to persevere with Tree and False taking down 2.
And Saints have to string together a couple more of those, not just a couple, probably 3 or 4 more of those fights if they want to have a chance at winning this. They're just going to try and stall the best they can here, but it's overtime, and it has to be absolutely perfect from here on out if you are Saints. But look at Timeless. A 4-pack of ultimates coming in soon for them. Sound barrier, another rampage from Kuffa, and that Bob from Wub making this a 6v5 could completely turn this on its head. And the biggest thing is that the checkpoint hasn't been reached yet for Saints, so that's more time it takes them.
Yep. We've complimented Saints on their mid-fight and their ability to weather treacherous storms, but this is going to have to be a monumental attempt to weather this kind of tornado that's coming at them. Timeless pressing forward. Sound barrier out from Juvie. Rampage is there. On to 2. Greed now responding effectively, making sure that they are topped up and recovered. Saints still in this. They need to get Doomed and Kuffa, who are extremely low. Kuffa does have the Rampage, though. That's the win condition here for Timeless. The Carnage comes in. It's going to miss the dagger. False is still alive, rounding the inner barricade as they just patiently look for the chance. They do not want this to be stripped away from them and brought to the 5th map. And there is now an opening. It hits onto 2. The Suzu is not there. Juvie is booped. 2 are still low. That's going to be Saints getting critically low. It is only 3 that remain. remain. Timeless in the end of it, able to come back into this, shut down Saints, the team that we thought would claim it all, and now are finding themselves in a grand finals position, dropping Saints to the lower bracket.
Timeless with, I think, a huge upset right now. Everyone was thinking, chat, 62% thought that they would be that Saints would be heading to that grand finals, and Timeless said, not so fast, my friend. We're gonna be the team that finally takes Saints down in this bracket. Another upset in a bracket that feels like it's been full of them. But man, what an absolutely phenomenal performance from Timeless. I think the biggest thing for me is it was a phenomenal performance on a variety of different things, right? The Junker Queen composition looked good. The Winston composition looked good. They also brought in Clear on the Ramatra, and that was something that they really thrived in. But this map in particular, I mean, this was just all Kuffa all the time. An absolutely phenomenal performance from him. And Timeless, after today, definitely deserving of being in that grand finals.
Yep, they were on top like clockwork. See what I did there? As you're gonna be able to have them move forward. I cannot wait to start throwing some more like time-related jokes in this. But yeah, seriously, overall they have put on an absolute performance. Kuffa, if there are some Junker Queen mains out there, take notes, because this is how you put on a show.
Yeah, I mean, this is Junker Queen is like, remember, got really heavily buffed, remember? so yeah. You know, there is that potential for Junker Queen to be really prevalent in the meta at some point later. Already like pretty decent as like a counter and like in a niche pick in a couple of these maps, but I think that for Timeless, I mean, this was really a phenomenal, you know, chance for them, because I think that like earlier in the meta it was like kind of like, okay, can they play like the double flanker look when it was so strong? But like now that you can play more of that rush style, you know, have Doomed on these picks like the Genji, the Mei was fantastic. Wub is still just doing Wub things, and Kuffa and Clear kind of having that rotation is really good. But I also got to give, you know, credit to the supports too. I think Cal played absolutely phenomenal. It was
out of
like,
their mind.
You know, for the blind, Cal is sight, you know, et cetera, stuff like that. Greed too, I think really stepped up. This is a great Timeless team that finally, I mean, last year we talked about this Timeless team, you know, being one of the teams to get to the grand finals. They made some changes, but finally they're able to get there, which is something that they weren't able to do previously, and I bet that they're feeling good.
And one of the biggest morale boosts right now is securing that grand finals position. But we're going to head to a short break before getting a quick interview here. So don't go anywhere, friends, because we are absolutely waiting to see what they're going to say after this one.
Are your Dragon Blades missing the mark?
Do you want to go from a bad Genji to a pro Genji?
Looking for that next big thing to rank up and improve your gameplay?
Well, look no further than our brand new Overwatch Contenders Genji skin! With our exclusive custom-made hoodie, your Genji gameplay will automatically be taken up a notch.
And you'll look more stylish as you team wipe fight after fight.
Just look at that stitching.
To acquire your sick Genji threads,
so you can destroy in ranked and dominate all your enemies.
Dude, chill.
Sorry, man, I'm just getting into it.
All you have to do is connect your Battle.net account to Twitch.
After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress,
letting you claim each magnificent offering, including the keen blade of Overwatch Contenders Genji.
Welcome back, my friends. We are here with an amazing opportunity to speak with our lovely interviewer. It's gonna be Kuffa, who we can honestly say right now put on a performance that will probably stand the test of time, even, especially with the Junker Queen not being on live patch even, and looking forward to that. How are you feeling? Your team has to feel electric right now, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good. You know, we lost in a map 5 series to them in the round robin, so it's good to get revenge. Now we're in the grand finals, so it's chill.
So talk to me a little bit about going into this game, because we did see kind of like, you know, at the start we saw Reaper May and like a lot of these things that I think we weren't really expecting too much of, and like more of that rush style. But like going into this series, obviously Saints, it felt like kind of was more of like the favorites from a lot of people. Even chat was thinking that they were favorited. What was your process as a team going into this matchup? Because of, you know, Saints, you played them before, it was a map 5, but you know, in playoffs anything can happen.
Well, we know they're a pretty good team. We were kind of worried about the Lucia Mora composition that they ran, because we haven't really practiced against it that much. We tried running it like the last like 2 or 3 days of scrims a bit, but I mean, we were just losing scrims all day. Like every single day, we're just losing scrims. Like we're playing with the ringers. Like Carrots is like traveling right now, so he's playing on like his friend's computer and like some scuffed setup. So, you know, it wasn't looking that good heading into these matches, I'm not gonna lie. You know, the morale was a bit low, but we're just a match day team, like it shows.
Okay, so there were a lot of obstacles, challenges, and tribulations, absolutely. So where did kind of this, you know, morale shift kind of come from? Was it just the way that you were playing as a whole? I feel that when you were able to take that second map, that was a big shift for you. Is that where you kind of all had like an accumulative agreement, like, hey, like, let's go. Like, we're now pulling through on this?
Yeah, well, we kind of knew Antarctic Peninsula was like one of their best maps. They always started against other teams in the earlier games of the bracket, so we expected them to play it. We kind of expected to lose it because we hadn't really practiced that much, and they ran out on like a Diva counter comp on the Monkey map, which kind of threw us off, especially me. Like, it's not really an easy map to play other heroes. Like, if I played Ram, I wouldn't have really got much value, so I just decided to stick with it, and it didn't work. But yeah, I don't know, like after we beat Afterlife and like they like before when they beat Wiz, like when we got to that top 3, even like that time we were doing so bad in scrims as well. We're like losing every day, and then we just like showed up on match day and like destroyed people. So like we were like, okay, like we can still perform on matches regardless of how terrible our scrims have been in the last few weeks. So we just stuck with that, you know. I think the team is just a match. Like, there's no other way to say it. We're just a match day team. Like, I think every other team can say that we just lose scrims. Like, it's pretty consistent. I kind of like it because, like, teams kind of underestimate us. I don't think really teams would expect us to be beating Saints right now. So that's chill.
Yeah, you flipped the switch for sure. You flipped the switch for sure, because only 30% of that chat said that you were going to take it, and you for sure proved a 2/3 wrong.
So Kuffa, tell me a little bit about kind of like the communication between like the team, because I think that one of the things that you and the rest of the team did really well, specifically you and Wub, was like these counter dives that you had a lot of, you know, back on Hollywood. That I think was something that was really good. Is it you kind of, is there like a shot caller for your team, or is it kind of shot calling by committee?
I mean, like, I comm a fair amount, and like if I don't comm, we kind of fall apart at times. But there's like a lot of back and forth from everybody. You know, Wob, like when we're going for the Tracer and Kai, Wob's like, I can hack Tracer and Kai. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then we're like 3, 2, 1, me doomed, and him just kill him, and we just chill. Like it's a lot of like a team effort. I think everyone's doing a really good job. But you know, generally we're not that strong on that comp, so it's a surprise to just like do so well in Hollywood today. But yeah, good looks.
Well, I mean, timeliness for sure with the way that you've been engaging and taking advantage and coming through on top for this one. So when it comes now to knowing that you're in the grand finals position, how does it feel just to be able to be in that spot now, guaranteeing it, and you kind of just have like this moment of reprieve before going into tomorrow?
It feels nice. We get to watch the game today, like Trick Room, O3 Splash, see who they'll play in the lower bracket, Saints will play. It's like very rewarding. I feel like we've worked a lot like lately. I've been putting in a lot of time. I'm pretty busy with like World Cup scrims as well, so it feels nice to finally have stuff pay off. And you know, we fell short last season back in December, and we don't really want to replicate that again. So we're working really hard to perform better.
Time heals all wounds. and you have been performing at such a high level, and I got that laugh out of Kenobi too. So we appreciate you greatly for your time to talk with us. You have put on such a performance today. Cannot wait to see how everything pans out tomorrow. Give them hell, and thank you so much for your time, Cuffo. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Wub heads rise.
Let's go! Let's go!
Thank you, Cuffo.
Oh, Kenobi. Such a good day.
It's good. I love hearing teammates support each other. That's very fun.
Yeah.
That's very fun. Wub is definitely deserving, I think, of a lot of respect for what Wub has been able to do performance-wise, and I think that he's really showing his stuff specifically on the Hanzo. I think it's one of his best heroes, if not his best, I think, that we're seeing at the current moment. But we can take a look at the schedule of what we've just seen and what we have to look forward to. Kava mentioned it a little bit earlier. 03 Splash versus Trick Room is going to be our losers bracket semifinal. Timeless taking a 3-1 victory over Saints, a shock to quite a few of us, I think, just, you know, in the casters and also in the chat. Also take a look at the bracket of how we got here. Timeless sitting pretty in that grand finals, and Saints will be playing the winner of this Trick Room versus 03 Splash matchup.
Yeah, get to kick their feet up for now, watch the opponents, evaluate, and think on the strategies that they're going to have and need going into tomorrow to try and not, as they mentioned, repeat history from the previous season. So with that being said, we'll be heading to a short break before getting into our next game to see who moves on to face off against Saints tomorrow. So don't go anywhere, my friends.
Tracer has quickly become one of the most popular heroes in high-level Overwatch 2. It takes insane mechanical skill, cerebral game sense, and ice in your veins to make impact plays with her, but these players make it look easy.
Maimon and Vestal are just playing off of each other perfectly.
W Maimon, by the way, found one who built that Transcendent. And a pulse bomb connects onto both Fuki and Turkey. W Maimon on this map on Havana truly has been next level.
And just as their eyes glance away, a pulse bomb connects to the back of their head. Kanale and Cookie hit the dirt. Rocket's trying. Rocket could be a hero in moments like these. Rocket saved the day again. Rocket's gonna chase him out too. Oh, and he Tracer gaps him. Yeah, Rocket's that guy right now.